Hi guys, welcome back to Earth to Rosita, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is the channel where I mainly do sitting down talk videos like this in my car. Spirituality, veganism, that kind of thing are the main topics, but sometimes I get into politics or just like world events, which is happening right now. But today I wanted to talk about Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman? And I actually know that I have some people who, support the trans community, watching me, and they really don't like me. But I really recommend that you guys go watch that video. I will link it down below in the description, because you have to, like, if you're not challenging your current worldview, then you're kind of letting yourself be in an echo chamber. So he wasn't being smug, he wasn't being rude. He even flew all the way to Africa to ask, what is a woman? So that was really funny and interesting. And it's interesting to me because over the last summer, I actually spent time with indigenous people, indigenous communities and such. And they kind of disagree with the whole trans community, the whole trans movement and such. And it's like even indigenous communities are not in support of like the whole that's what the documentary, like, that's what you find out in the documentary. Most of them find the whole idea kind of absurd, and they believe that in the documentary it said, like, the African tribes said that it's kind of ridiculous. They kind of laughed at the idea. So these are things that we need to, like, consider, because this is a uniquely Western concept. When, like, I can't imagine the Middle East or parts of Europe or Africa or Asia embracing these things. Like, I've been to, I was born in the Middle East. I have family in the Middle East. They don't embrace this kind of stuff. I have been to Asia. They definitely don't embrace this kind of stuff. And whenever I go back to Asia, I'm actually going to go out into the community and maybe ask the community what they think of the trans ideology and stuff. And the trans movement. Just so you guys can get a kind of glimpse into their world. So now that little rant is out of the way, back to the documentary. So the documentary, the few things that I really liked about, sorry, I had to wait for some of the noise to go away. So there was a part of the video, there was a segment where they're explaining how trans women or biological men are coming in to women's sports. And that's something that I really think should be a pressing issue for you guys to go and watch this documentary. It's really kind of ruining women's sports, and it's interesting to me that we spent, the whole feminist movement was based off of, women's rights and equal opportunity and such. And now, biological men, who transition to women are coming into women's sports. And they have, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, they do have a kind of advantage over women. They have a biological advantage. And that's something that it gets censored so much, and it gets posed and it gets flagged as hateful to say, but throughout all of history, we have known that men and women have differences in their biology. Men have different bone structures. They're stronger. They're just stronger than women. Even, bodybuilders and stuff, they have differences. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't deny that biological men who transition to women, they do have a kind of advantage over biological women in women's sport. And that's another thing that Matt Walsh's What is a Woman documentary covers. So I really recommend you go watch it for that reason. So one part of the documentary was Matt interviewing a professor of some kind, a university professor, a University of America professor. And he was there was a part that was incredible to me, that the professor, Matt was explaining how he's seeking out truth. And the professor got really uncomfortable with the word truth. And you guys know that I got suspended off of Twitter. And the reason why I got suspended was because of a crazy person who actually commented on my video explaining that he reported me for talking about the truth. So it's really strange to see that. It's like truth. They get triggered by the word truth. They get uncomfortable with the word truth. What does that tell you about the community? What does that tell you about the ideology? What does that tell you about these people and what they're saying and what they're trying to feed to you? If you can't even have a discussion, have a civilized discussion about truth, if you have to get censored for speaking your truth or the truth, because there's only one, there are subjective truths, of course, but there are also objective truths. Like right now, the sky is blue because it's daytime, because the sun is out. And when it's nighttime, the moon is out, That's a physical truth. It's like saying trees are green, but somebody else is saying, no, the trees are yellow, or the trees are purple, or the trees are black, or something. It's just, there is objective truth and there is subjective truth. So what is objective truth? Objective truth to me, it's something that cannot be changed. Something that stands the test of time. Something that no matter how much, how many differences we have, it is what it is. And to get uncomfortable over the word truth, it tells you how weak you're living, the truth that you're living in is. If you have to censor somebody because they are speaking the truth, because it makes you uncomfortable, how honest are you being with yourself and with the world? So the truth is the truth, and no matter how much you want to deny it. So that's another really interesting aspect of the documentary that I found. So there was a segment where a woman, a gender affirming doctor, psychologist or something, was talking to Matt about, what she does with her patients, she does with her children and stuff. And Matt made a really good point. Matt made very, a lot of good points. So the first point that he started to make was, about children believing in Santa Claus. And honestly, the commentary, I'm not trying to be rude, but the woman legitimately, to me, sounded like she was talking to a therapist, and Matt was a therapist, and she was the mentally unwell patient, kind of just straying away from reality. And that's kind of scary, because she is an adult. She's a fully grown woman, She looks like she's in her 40s or something. And then there was a segment where where Matt was interviewing a this is her words, she's a biological woman. Her name, she transitioned through hormones and synthetic stuff. She transitioned to a male, and she says that she will never be a biological male. She says stuff like, even if you dug up her body 50 years later or something, 100 years later, she would be identified as a woman. That is a fact. This is her words, not mine. So she was explaining her journey, her transitioning journey, and how she regrets it deeply, because these drugs that she took, this unnatural way to transition to a male, she regrets it every day because it's really messed up her body. She also said something that's terrifying to me. She said that she could die earlier on because she went through this procedure and stuff. So there's just there's a lot to unpack with this documentary, and I think that it goes for it goes for an hour and 30 minutes. But an hour and 30 minutes, it's just jam-packed with things that you just have to know. You have to know about the other side of the argument. You just have to know about the other side. It's you can hate on right-wing conservatives, you can hate on Christians and stuff, you can hate on the opposing side for as long as you want. But at least do yourself the justice. At least look at the other side. You can't live in an echo chamber. And this documentary, it's just I don't even know where to end with this. It's kind of terrifying where we are as a society and where we're going if we continue to push this. If we continue down this path of just accepting it and censoring the other opposing side, where we could end up in the world and in society, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good because what this whole LGBTQIA plus community, it's even being pushed down the throats of children. It's not a natural progression in society. It's being taught. It's being taught to children. If a child naturally feels that way, it's one thing. And gender dysphoria, there is a psychologist, a legitimate psychologist there, who speaks about gender dysphoria. And she has nuance in her thinking. She talks about the history of where gender dysphoria came. She talks about who started this movement. And that's another thing that you guys really need. Like, if you are in the LGBTQIA community, and if you're in support of the trans movement, community, ideology, whatever you want to call it, you have to know this information. You have to at least know where the roots of this whole thing came from. So I just can't recommend this documentary enough. It's such a good documentary. Matt Walsh did not go into this. Like, I know that there's going to be a lot of smear pieces about him, like he's being a transphobe and stuff. But Matt Walsh did not go into this documentary with a snide attitude. He did not go into this, like being rude to anybody. He did not go into this, as the trans community says. He went into this with an open mind. He went into this interviewing every single person he interviewed with a yearning to learn. He went into this asking questions with a straight face, He was very serious. He was very professional about everything. He was very calm. And I cannot recommend this enough. I cannot recommend you guys go watch this documentary enough. Because, even though, I was at work when I was watching this documentary, so I wasn't really engaged in, the facial expressions, but every single time I was able to engage and look at Matt's face whenever he was asking questions to the opposing side to his own view, he was serious. He wanted to learn. You can tell that he wanted to learn. So I praise this documentary to high heavens. I give it an 11 out of 10, not just because it's in alignment with my own worldview, with my own thoughts on this, but because he actually went in there. This documentary was not like a joke documentary. He wasn't making fun of the other side. He was just showing what the other side was. And that's the takeaway for me. I hope that you guys go and watch this documentary. And also, there's a video by Anomaly that I really liked that he recently put out. It kind of ties into this entire thing. He was talking about Yuri Bezmenov, and I'll link that down below as well. It's a really good video. These documentaries, these podcasts, they're so important to listen to. It's so important to listen to the opposing side, always. So I really hope that it wakes people up. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed my review, even though it was kind of all over the place. I had to edit this video a lot because I was just I was not really solid in my thought train. Hope you guys like this video, subscribe, and have a lovely day or night. Bye guys.